Hello, I'm Lloydetta Quaco. Welcome to Sharing Our Cultures. Today, I'm in conversation with Elder Mercy, who was born in Soweto Township. Join us after the break for her amazing story. Welcome back to Sharing Our Cultures, and I'm so delighted today to have with me an African elder, Mercy, and we're going to find out a lot of information from her that I've always wanted to know since I was very young. So, Mercy, welcome to Sharing Our Cultures.
Oh, thank you.
I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so delighted that you're here. And when I first found out, you were the very first and the only person I've ever met that was actually born in Soweto.
Yeah.
In the township, right?
Yeah.
In South Africa. So tell me a little bit about yourself in terms of growing up and what it was like for you.
Okay, in a nutshell, it's a lot, but anyway, growing up was like, when you're young, you don't know anything. We were in our little township, in our little dusty streets, playing with other kids. We didn't even know there was something called apartheid or anything like that. My first encounter with it is when we went to town with my dad, and we had to sit on one part of the train, and we were not allowed in the other part. And I found it strange. I said, why are we not allowed? So when we came out of the train, I realized, oh, the other people on the other side, they are white. I knew there were whites in South Africa, but I'd never met anyone, any white person. So they went out, went through their exits. We went out, went through our exits. It was normal. So anyway, it went on, and I started school. And when I was at school, somewhere around secondary school, they wanted us to study in Afrikaans, all the languages in Afrikaans. And I mean, it was hard enough learning in English. Now you have to learn in Afrikaans. And we did not like Afrikaans because the Afrikaners were not nice to us. Anyway, there we were. We have to learn in Afrikaans. So they started this. The following year we was going to start. That was 1977. In 1976, when we went back to school, we had these little meetings. I did not think much about it, and we would sing songs, and then they would tell us, okay, we're going to have a very big protest, and don't tell your parents, don't tell anybody. That even the teachers did not know. It was like we did not have very big meetings. It was like in your classroom, you were assigned maybe 10. It was like we were having, kids playing, and we were learning these songs, and they were telling us what we're going to do on the day, and there was excitement. Then the day arrived. We were told that we'll go to school as usual. You don't tell nobody nothing. We went, took our book bags, went to school. When we got to school, went to assembly as usual, sang our songs, prayed. And when they said, okay, now we go to class. Instead of marching to classes, we marched out of the school, out into the streets. And we were singing those songs that we were learning as we were sitting in those little groups. The aim was that we're going to meet somewhere in a big stadium and have our protest against Afrikaans. That was a game changer.
Can I ask about how old you were? How old were these children? Like in the
I
class?
I was in secondary school. I was 16.
Oh.
But it was from grade 1. All the schools, there were no, from grade 1, all the schools that day, the kids, instead of going to class, we went out of the school.
Into the stadium?
We were going to, because remember the stadium is a central place, depending on where you were. We were, for us it was like maybe 3 to 4 kilometers, or 5, I'm not sure. But some people, it would take them, it was like 10 kilometers, depending on where you were. But as we all walked, we were supposed to go congregate there, all school kids. 7 to 18. That's what it was.
Okay. All right. So you were part of this group. that got
Yes, and it
together
was fun. Oh, it was,
A happy
you know,
day.
it was a happy day. We were there with our little fists in the air, going to give it to our government. So that's how it was.
Yeah. So singing your songs.
Oh, yeah, we had all learned these songs, of course.
Okay.
Everyone knew. So we were singing, we were happy.
And then you gathered there.
We did not even reach.
You didn't get there.
No,
Okay.
we did not get there. As we were walking, the police came. Fortunately with us, who were, you know, because it was different parts of the thing, they stopped all the people in the main roads. So we were stopped where we were, but the people who were on the main road, the policemen went there with guns, unfortunately. We call them the riot police. We had different kinds of police people. We had the normal police who arrested the criminals, then we had the riot police. The riot police had these machine guns, and they moved around in these big, ugly war machines, and theirs was to shoot. Those ones did not play. When they were deployed, they were to shoot, to kill. So that group that was there, that moved from the other place, that was the main part of Soweto, because we were mostly like on the outskirts, but they were in the main part, and they went to the main street, the main road that led to where we were going. So those are the ones that were stopped. And chaos reigned. It was like, if you met somebody who was in that, they would not even tell you what was happening, depending on where you were, because nobody believed that anybody could be shooting at children. Maybe they thought that, you know, the police were scaring them, and they ran in all directions until the following day, when the news came that some children were killed.
A lot of children were killed, and a lot of
A
children were
lot
were
of children
injured,
were
yes.
killed, yes, a lot. And you can imagine that was, those were 7-year-olds.
Yeah.
Where do you go? What do you do? Yeah. So our parents got to know about it when they were coming back from work. And there was chaos everywhere. It was like places were burning. It was just a mess. Something that started as simple as trying to walk to protest against a language you did not want to learn.
Yeah.
So that's how it was.
And it was a peaceful protest because the children did not have, they were
Kids,
just children.
they were
just
kids.
school
There
children.
wasn't even,
Yeah.
they'll tell you, oh, the children were throwing rocks at us. Really? Really? Where would the rocks be?
Yeah.
Because the kids were not going to be throwing rocks at anybody. They did not even think that there would be anybody at that stadium. We were going to the stadium, we were going to sing, we were going to show our flags, and the media would come and would be on television or whatever it was that would be in, and that would be the end of it. That was the mentality of the day. Yeah.
Okay, so after all of this chaos, and then parents had to come and look for the children, take the children that had been killed.
Yeah.
And then, so what happened next?
Oh,
after
from that day onwards, the township went on fire. Any building that was a government building went into smoke. It was chaotic. It was really, that's when things just went from bad to worse. Because remember, you don't have power. So we were thinking the only power that we have is to destroy what is not ours. And of course, as black people, we did not own anything. Everything belonged to the government. So you were just went the offices, even the schools were burnt, because they were saying, what's the point of going to learn if they're going to be killing us anyway? So from that day onwards, there was no school. School ended for the children on that day.
So there was a whole generation that missed school
Yes,
from
for
that.
2 whole years.
To 2 years.
2 whole years, there was no schooling in Soweto. No school. Zero. And most of my school friends, especially the boys, disappeared and they were never found.
They were probably taken.
We don't know, or they died, or we don't know. We don't know. You just, where's so and so? Oh, he never came back from June 16 or something like that. We lost a lot of friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was out of that that the United Nations decided to have March 21 as the International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination. So, you know, we think of it as being something so terrible and traumatic and chaotic that happened. But it was the start of the world sitting up to see what was happening and what was going on, you know, in South Africa. Well, what happened in Soweto Township.
That's when the world noticed that this is not fun anymore, because you can't just go around killing kids. It doesn't matter if they threw a rock at you. Do you have to shoot them? You know, it was like, don't you have any other power that you cannot deal with a bunch of kids? You kill them? Because, you know, that was not the first time people were killed in South Africa. Protests have been held and people were killed, but because they were adults, they were saying, oh, what were they doing there? Why were they protesting? Blah, blah, blah. So it went on, and the world, you know, they knew there was apartheid, but they said, so what? Because, you know, it's business as usual. Until kids were killed, that's when everything just turned around for South Africa. Okay. Yeah. So out of, you know, we may say, oh, it's so bad, but sometimes it takes the bad things to happen for the good things to come out. Because South Africa now, you can go anywhere you want. You can stay in any house. You can travel in any train. Nobody's going to tell you, no, you are not allowed here.
Wow, that's freedom, and that's victory. Yes, to be able to, because I mean the Africans really were. That was your home. That's where you were born. That's where your generations and generations lived.
Exactly.
So then a group of settlers come and say, well, no, you can't.
No, you can't. You can't walk on this pavement. Yeah. You can't go to this shop. You have to use the back door. It was, but that was it. That was the end of apartheid as we knew it.
Yes. But then, of course, we know that there were several other instances, the political aspect of it, and Dr. Nelson Mandela's trial and imprisonment. And then, of course, we'll talk a lot more about that, actually, when we come back.
Okay.
All right. And Sharing Our Cultures will be right back.
Your opinion matters, and we want to hear from you. Get in touch with us using our viewer feedback line, your direct connection to shaping the shows you love. It's easy. Just grab your phone, scan the QR code on your screen, and take our quick survey. Share your thoughts, and let's make your viewing experience even better.
Welcome back to Sharing Our Cultures. This has indeed been a difficult story to tell, but we know it needed to be told. And Elder Mercy, I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm so glad that we've got a first-hand experience, a first-hand telling of what happened. And we're so grateful to you for coming, for being here, and all what you've gone through, and to be able to share that with us. And as we look back, it's great to look back. You know, this is a historical fact and what happened. But as we look back, we think of all the difficulties and the challenges that happened to people in Africa, people in South Africa, people that were living in this Soweto Township. But South Africa as a country, we know they've moved on now. But back then, we think of those who were the champions, like Dr. Nelson Mandela, what he had to go through for the freedom he was seeking for his people.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, like, when I grew up, I knew because we sang about him in the streets. We learned about him, but we were not allowed. We were not allowed to mention his name. He was not talked about in schools. We just knew about him as a people because we talked about it, but you had to be careful whom you were talking to and why you were talking about him, because you could easily end up in prison just for talking about Mandela. So when we grew up, we knew that he had been arrested and he was in Robben Island. And of course, you know, him being in Robben Island, we could not stop talking about him. He was not dead, he was alive in Robben Island, but we never thought he would come back alive. None of us thought he would, because it was like, man, the conditions there were harsh. These were people treated not like people at all. He endured what most people would not endure. So after the 1976 story, then I think it made people think. So they were thinking, now what is going to happen from here? And then, of course, the powers that be tried to find ways. They said, okay, we'll have to have a discourse with the person that we put in prison, because now they had no way out. They had to change. Change had to come. So they went and talked to him and tried to find a solution to move forward. Fortunately, Mandela was, he was one of those people who, I don't know, he was just a person who was looking forward. He had the forethought, because people were thinking that when the government changed, there would be a lot of bloodshed. But he came out and he reined the people in. When he came out, it was in the 90s, and you know, he came out with this power of forgiveness. He came out with talking about, let us forgive, let us build our country. Let nobody, we have killed, we have died enough. Let there be no bloodshed right now. Let us talk. That's when they started to talk about what are we going to do for our children in the future. Because, I mean, South Africa was for all South Africans. No matter your color, it was just that we were caught up in this thing that was started by a few people. But overall, South Africans are South Africans. We wanted the best for our country, and Mandela was the catalyst. He came out, and when he spoke, people listened, because he was wise beyond words. When he opened his mouth, we sat back and said, yeah. And that's how it happened. So when all those talks went on, because before that, between 1976 and 1994, it was like war. All the parties that were forming were fighting against each other. People were killing each other. But he came out and said, no, 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 this is not how to solve this problem. Let's sit down, all of us. So all those political parties that were being formed sat down and started talking. That's how South Africa came to be.
Yeah, and Nelson Mandela was the most respected person. I mean, he came from a line of chiefs, so from what I read and understood. And one of his sayings was that if he didn't forgive, he will still be in a prison. So I mean, even though he had come out of prison, but if he didn't forgive all of what was done to him, all the people who did such terrible acts of violence against him, if he didn't forgive them, he would still be in prison. Yeah. You know, in his heart, I guess.
Yeah, he personified forgiveness. Yeah. He did, because one of his bodyguards that were looking after him in prison came out, and he was so, you know, he became Mandela's bodyguard, the prison warder, because, you know, he said this is a person. He was doing a job. It's not that he was bad. He was doing a job. He was told to do a job. Now, here he is. He's a human being. If I can change, he can change too. He forgave him. The guy could not believe it. So, you know, he personified it. He made us look at change, forgiveness in a very different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For which we're truly grateful.
Oh yeah, we are truly, truly grateful for that. You know what? They say God works his things. It's a miracle. Mandela was a true miracle from God. Yeah.
Well, we're so thankful for him, and his memory will always live on.
Oh,
And
yeah.
We're thankful for you. We're coming all this way to be here with us. We haven't even chatted about how you came to be in Newfoundland, which was part of what we were going to talk about as well, because we're looking at people who've come to live here and who've stayed.
Okay.
Actually, was what it was the actual theme for this series. So
Yeah.
you can give that to us in a nutshell, maybe, how you
Okay.
chose to come here and stayed.
When we were out in South Africa, we had 5 kids. Huh? And of course, education in South Africa is very, very, especially tertiary education is very expensive. So we said, what are we going to do for our kids? So we said, okay, let's look at somewhere where we can afford to take these kids to school, where they, you know, that's it. That's how we started applying, and we applied to Canada. We didn't even know about Newfoundland. So at that time, Newfoundland had a program where they were looking for doctors from South Africa. So now my husband applied, because I, as a nurse, was also applying. If we were not coming to Newfoundland, we were going to the US or to England. But fortunately, Newfoundland answered first. So we said, okay, we are going. And we're going to a place called Burin. So
Burin?
Burin. Marystown and Burin, it's on the Burin Peninsula. So I asked my husband, where is this place? He said, I don't know, but you know what? If they want me, it means there are people, because I'm not a vet. So that's how we came to Canada. That was 2003. And I came with 3 teenagers. And we landed in St. John's. And you know, St. John's is not too bad. It's a town. There's a vibe. And then the guy came from Burin to get us. And then we drove for 3 hours. And all we could see were trees. So I said to my husband, you lied. There are no people where we're going. But we did get to Burin, and there were people. Yeah. Yes. And you know what? It was the best thing we had ever done, because my kids went there and they flourished. It was like they were different people, because Burin is a small town. They were the only black kids there, but you know, the kids from the neighbors' kids would come. Oh, do you want to come and play? At school, they had friends, and you know, within a few months, it was like they were born there. They were like, it was the most amazing thing. And I looked at it and said, oh my, I never thought there were people who were like this in the world at all, because, you know, Newfoundlanders are, at first in my brain, because I could not wrap it around, I thought they were pretending. The niceness of the people, I said, nowhere in the world can people be this nice. But as we stayed, I realized, okay, this is how they are. This is who they are. They are not pretending, because pretense drops off. But as we stayed longer, I realized, okay, so this is the fabric of Newfoundland. This is how they are. Because even when we left Burin, we stayed there for 2 years, and we went to Labrador. And in Labrador, we were in Wabush, and it was the same thing. It was like, whoa, this is how it is. This is, the small towns have this essence. It's like you are not even neighbors. No, you are family. At the beginning, it was funny because of where I come from. I used to look at myself and say, oh, I'm still black. Because I never thought that I would be treated like that as a black person coming from apartheid, where you were a non-person. And now here you are, people are treating you as an equal. I said, oh, okay. So this is how it is when people are really the same.
So
It's
thank you so much. Yeah.
Stories that need to be told.
Yes.
You know, that to show people that what you experience in one era and in one place is not what you are going to experience. As long as I think what we need to do is go with an open mind. Yes. Wherever you go, you go with an open, because what you exude, what you show to the people is what people are going to give back to you.
That's exactly right. That's a good, wise words of wisdom to end with. So thank you so much. We'll always remember that. Thank you so much.
You are welcome.
Okay. And Sharing Our Cultures will be right back. Thanks to Elder Mercy for sharing her experiences in the Soweto Township and here in Newfoundland and Labrador. And thanks to you for watching. Join us again next time on Sharing Our Cultures.